Why hello there friends, top of the morning to you. In today's video we are heading to Ireland. This is another throwback travel vlog from a trip I took in 2016. If you haven't caught the other videos in the series, I'll link them up above. Back in 2016 I took a trip to the United Kingdom and Ireland and it was absolutely amazing. This is actually the final installment in this video series, so this was the end of the trip. When we last left off we were in County Kerry, the southwest of Ireland, and we drove north. We got to see the Cliffs of Moher, the Cliffs of Insanity. We went through Galway, we visited Croagh Patrick, and also Kylemore Abbey, and then we wound up our time in Ireland with a short jaunt in Dublin since we are flying out of Dublin. But it was absolutely an amazing time. It's been so much fun to watch these videos back, especially since we can't travel right now. But one of the best things about travel is that you get to enjoy it long after you have come back home and long before you leave home, because planning is half the fun. This is the end of the United Kingdom and Ireland vlogs, but I do have some other travel vlogs that I have never gotten around to editing, so make sure you're subscribed. Stay tuned for those. One last quick note, the Irish wind once again wanted to make itself heard in these clips, so I am adding captions. You can turn those on by clicking the little CC button. Hope you guys enjoy. Which way is Gilder?
A few kilometers
that way. Is that a man in black?
Yeah, hang a right when you pass the Cliffs of Insanity.
That ship keeps getting closer. Impossible!
Yeah, if you hit the fire swamp, you
I do not think that the word means what you think it means. Look at that. Look at that ocean out there. Wow, and the way the sun is beaming through the clouds, and look at the way it's lighting up. Oh my gosh. Just little patches of ocean and turning them to gold. Whoa, you guys. Oh my gosh, do you see those two tiny figures silhouetted against the top? It's like just for size comparison. There are the people and there are the cliffs. It is hard to comprehend how huge they are, like looking at it. You have to kind of like remember that the castle is like a 2-story building, and you have to like look and try to find the tiny little dots of people, and even then it's like hard for your brain to process how huge they must be. They're the Cliffs of Insanity. It's really windy. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Sorry about the wind. What can I say? Yes, tomorrow we're actually taking a boat cruise that's going to be out along the water by the Cliffs of Moher, so that should be pretty epic. This ferry feels like luxury here in Sketchmark. There are life jackets, there's a thing inside. Yeah, the ferry was not a ferry, it was a fishing boat with no seats. It had like a platform that you could sit on. Dirty old should say. There's no wind here, so you guys can maybe actually hear me. Yes, the ferry ride over was a little bit choppy, to say the least. I mean, it was still better than the fishing boat to Skellig Michael, but people were definitely succumbing to the seasickness, and the seasick bags were being passed out, and I didn't feel very well, but it's like then when you see people getting sick, then that makes it even worse. I'm okay though. I didn't need a seasick bag. Now have some fresh air, and then before we just get the ferry back. Maybe it'll be a bigger boat. It was a small boat. This castle seems to be missing one of its corners. Oh look, they were telling us all about how they made these vaulted ceilings yesterday. They used like a rush mat. It was really fascinating. I didn't quite understand all of it, but and they made it because the vault actually supports the floor above it. It's not like they liked vaulted ceilings. They just knew architecturally it would support that floor. And look, this room must have had a vaulted ceiling too. Some of these rooms, you wonder how they've stayed up. That one certainly doesn't look very stable. And the other day, didn't we pass? It was I think, one wall of a tower house, of a tower house castle. And just one of the four. And everything else was blown away. And you wonder how just that one wall survived, Jigsaw puzzle it must have been putting together these walls, because they have stones going one direction, stone going in another. Well, you guys, it is stone walls that you're looking for in Ireland, and Sheer is definitely the place to come. You basically can't get any more stone walls. In fact, I don't think you really could even fit very many more in if you tried. I was just wondering, who these fields belong to and why they divided them up like this. I also feel like this would be a pretty good place to build your castle, because, I mean, who would, if you're on the mainland, if you're like with Ross Castle in the O'Donoghues, they built it on this beautiful lake. And whereas this is a pretty trappy boat ride out here, a little island. Although there's a big giant ring fort on Inishmore, another of the Aran Islands, so obviously these were important fortifications. So guys, I was trying to do some research because I do have 3G out here on the Aran Islands. There was no service on Skellig Michael, in case you're wondering. Although there was some on the boat back. It was funny, as we were heading Portway back to Portmagee, I got a text from my mom, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're really there." Anyway, I was looking up on my iPhone, on the rose petal, what the origin of the walls here is. And they said it has partly been sort of lost in the mists of time. But one thing is that to reclaim the soil here is very rocky. So to reclaim the soil, they would clear small areas at a time and then build the rocks that they had just cleared into these walls, and then that would protect it from the wind, from blowing away. And they would also bring in soil from the mainland. They also said they would sometimes mix seaweed with sand to make soil in order to get. But yeah, all of the Aran Islands, Inishmore and Inishmaan, also have tons of these stone walls. There are so many of them. so tiny. Century Church. And it's so small. It's more the size of like a little chapel. Wow, so this was built before the castle up on the hill. Hello, how are you? So I got myself an Aran Islands scarf here, which first, I think we are coming up on St. Catherine's Church, just up here. Wow, this really is completely sunk down below the churchyard. You can't even see it from a distance. You can only see the graves up on the hillside. We are driving through the burn. It's pretty crazy looking, huh? It's all rocky. There's the sea. This is me not running into a car.
And not running into any cars.
These maps are so cool. They're maps of cities, but they're really beautifully designed and have all sorts of funky locations. I bought that when we were in London. We're at a funky coffee shop in Galway. They have a design shop upstairs. Now we're gonna come downstairs because I bet our coffee's almost ready now. It's a pour over. I'm not a real coffee connoisseur. I like my cream. What do you think? How was yours? Mine had like passion fruit as one of the flavors listed. It sounded so cool. What about yours? They were all so funky. One of them was mango, strawberry. I like it. I got a spinach and green cheese with onions. It's delicious. I just got the Irish beef burger. Looks very nice. Yum. So we just had a delicious dinner at Anporta Cafe. When I was reading the plaque in there, it says that this little building has been called Thimble Castle. I'm not sure why castle, but thimble because it looks like a thimble. Yes, this is a really fun city. Galway. I think that Claddagh Jewelers there. I was watching the Samantha Brown episode, the Galway episode, before I came, and I'm pretty sure she visited that Claddagh Jewelers. And I think that the Claddagh was actually invented here in Galway, or was invented by someone from Galway. way. Yeah, it's so fun to walk down these streets. Litter in Irish is bruscar. Guys, I have spent such a fortune on postcards on this trip, so I feel like I should resist any more postcards. I like postcards, and I have lots of people who I like to send postcards to, and I also have my own postcard wall that I like to collect for, so it's always a struggle. I think that statue is of Oscar Wilde, and I'm not sure who the other guy is. And then obviously a musician. That sun is like gold dust. It's like gold powder falling down on the mountainside.
Bob was there those years ago. That's what he was at, really. Shouting it. I don't know. It was simply a smokescreen.
This, my friends, is the view from our hotel room tonight. We're looking out at the Connemara Mountains. I'm not sure what islands those are, but we're staying at the Island View B&B. So I know there are a couple islands out there in the bay, and then there's the Atlantic. I thought I'd give you a quick tour of our hotel room, B&B room. Little window with the view. Very nice beds, all nicely made up. A TV. Cabinet. I just like the little corner with the chair. There's the bathroom. Very nice. The owners were super nice. We're gonna head down, I think, to the pub, and because there's some live music tonight, so we're gonna give that a listen. But yeah, oh my gosh, this is just so nice. Last night's B&B was a bit of a disaster. They the sheets smelled like air freshener. I could barely get to sleep because the smell was just overpowering. Anyway, there was just one night there, and we have 2 nights here, so it should be lovely. And we're gonna go out and listen to some music.
City where the girls are so pretty. I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone. She wheeled her in a barrow, the streets broad and narrow, cockles and mussels alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, cockles and mussels alive, alive, oh.
Some authentic Irish music. Our hotel is literally right down the road here, so it couldn't be much more convenient. Guys, though, do you see how light it is out right now? Guess what time it is. Go ahead, guess. Think what you think time it is, and go ahead and post in the comments. You got your guess? It's 10 o'clock at night. Okay, it's what time is it? It's 10:15, and this is how bright it is. Isn't that crazy? There's the moon up there. And there's the sea. We're headed downstairs for some breakfast here in Roundstone at the Island View. There are sheep in the road. Watch out for those sheep in the road. As if there weren't enough other things, you know, the fact that these roads are incredibly narrow and bikes, pedestrians, huge lorries, also sheep. But it's beautiful.
But we also passed through a car. And then there was Kilcolgan, Kilorglin.
you guys, we have driven out to Crogpatrick. That's that mountain. It's a very big mountain, and all around it is kind of flat. Until you get down there to those mountains. But yeah, we didn't realize. So it turns out the visitor center is actually on the other side of the mountain, and the road doesn't connect. So I mean, I guess we could hike up there and just leave the car here, but it might be difficult getting back. So I think we're gonna drive around. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you this. County Mayo, this part of Ireland, is very bare. It's just sheep and fields and that big mountain. So the road to Crogpatrick has these informational plaques, and the name of this one is "Don't Complain." Pilgrims don't complain. And pilgrims have been coming here for centuries, for millennia. Well, we made it around to the other side of Crogpatrick, and as you can tell by the electrical wires, this is where the visitor center, craft and coffee shop is. So I think we're gonna go and have a little bit of a hike and a little look in the shop. We're starting our climb up Crogpatrick. It's not very foggy, so I think we should be okay. There's the sea right out there. Crogpatrick, as centuries of pilgrims have done before us. In fact, so this mountain is supposed to be the mountain where St. Patrick drove all the snakes and venomous creatures out of Ireland. He did that up here, according to legend. But apparently they've done some archaeological digging, and they've also found pre-Christian oratories, kind of like the first chapels up here too, and they found the remains of, I think, stone fort. So this is quite a striking mountain, no matter what time period you come from, because you come through these beautiful Connemara mountains, you enter County Mayo, and then there's kind of flat country, except for this one mountain sort of dramatically spiking up. This is quite the climb here. You can see it being rippled by the wind, which you can probably also hear. Well guys, we made it back to the mountains. Coming down was way harder than going up. In fact, I felt like it was more dangerous than Ciel Point or any of the other things we've done, just because the rocks under your feet shift and you're going down, so you start slipping. But we're good. We made it carefully, climbed down, made our pilgrimage part way, not quite all the way. We didn't really have time, but the view is spectacular. It was cool to see the other pilgrims. Some had rosaries with them. I should have brought my rosary. Think of that, but it was lovely. Oh wow, look, the summit is shrouded in mist now. Yeah, so we made it. Oh yeah, I see the stones that we paused on. Hold on, let me zoom. Were they those two stones, do you think? Or maybe they were a little higher than that. Not a lot though, I think it was around there. So, not quite to the top, but we made it pretty far up there. You can't really see a lot of the path, but that's quite a climb. Apparently the total climb is 3.5 hours. So, quite a hike. wanted to visit. Isn't it beautiful? Kylemore Abbey. We're gonna get something from the tea shop. Ooh. Got some tea, some soup, nice for a gray day. The Victoria sponge. I love how everything came with a side of cream, quiche, and a brownie. Not Club Lemon. Club Lemon is the best, but Club Orange is good too. Mist is rolling in. We're gonna head in and explore Kylemore Abbey. So apparently this was built by a rich London doctor. But in 1920, the Benedictine nuns bought it, and I guess the nuns who had been displaced by the First World War made their new home here. Ooh, look at the book staircase. Oh, so this room has all sorts of treasures of the Benedictine order of nuns who still live and work here. This is very grand. So this is where the Henry family would have had lavish entertainments. They welcomed the king here once. The King of England came here and apparently was thinking about buying it, but thought it was too expensive. So this is the miniature cathedral. It's apparently designed to look like Norwich Cathedral in miniature. Yeah, gosh, Kylemore has such an interesting and varied history. So it was built by this guy, Mitchell Henry. He was actually born in Manchester, but his parents were Irish immigrants, and they left him a huge fortune. He, I guess, was a doctor, but when his parents died and he inherited the money, he retired from being a doctor and built this amazing estate because he and his wife had honeymooned here in Connemara and loved it. And so, yeah, I mean, it sounds great. He brought all this work to the, Irish people of the region. It took them years to build the castle. His wife died young, and he was very sad, and so he built this miniature cathedral kind of in her memory. Look, the drain pipe says 1868, I think, the year it was originally built. They have a look inside the walled Victorian gardens. So apparently we are walking now where Mitchell Henry would have driven his carriage through to come and visit his Victorian walled garden. It's crazy. The Henrys must have been so wealthy. They apparently entertained on a very lavish scale. They had a gorgeous ballroom, they put on theatricals, they had Turkish baths, they do hunting and fishing, and yeah, generally have big pleasure parties. The Henrys eventually sold it, and they sold it to an American billionaire who bought it for his daughter, and she was like a character out of an Edith Wharton novel, basically, like in The Shuttle by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I like that book. But anyway, she was a rich American heiress who married a basically penniless English lord, so he got the money and she got the title. So the American heiress, whose father bought her Kylemore Abbey, did some renovations, but then her husband gambled away Kylemore Abbey, gambled away the deed, and so she lost it. And so that, I guess, was when the nuns bought it in 1920. And it's kind of neat to hear about this Benedictine order because they were founded in, I think, the 17th century by an Irish woman. And King James II actually tried to bring them back to Dublin, but then, of course, he got deposed by William and Mary. Catholics were not popular in England at that time, so they actually moved back to Ypres. I think I'm saying that word right. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so they moved back there. But then, during World War I, they were bombed out of Ypres in Belgium and they came back to Dublin. So they came back to Ireland, and they were able to buy Kylemore Abbey, and they've had a school here, and of course now they've restored the gardens and a lot of the house. So a lot of the house is their enclosure where they live and work. So it's kind of neat to be able to come visit here and hear the definitely multi-layered history. It's nice to see it in use as an abbey now, though. It must have been the perfect place for the nuns because it was in Ireland, where they came from, you know, a couple centuries ago. And in fact, I think in Ypres they were called like the Irish or the Dublin sisters. But yeah, it must have been kind of nice for them to come home to Ireland, and there was a miniature cathedral all ready for them to use, so it's been fun to explore, though. I've seen pictures of Kylemore Abbey so many times. It's such a gorgeous location set there on the lake with the dramatic Connemara Mountains. So it's really fun to be here in person, and these gardens are lovely too. Now we have a gray sky day. You never know with Ireland. At least it's not raining on us. That is good. Guys, I thought I had lost Porthos, and this is kind of a big garden, but I just spotted him way down there. I don't think I can zoom in, can I? Anyway, that's a good thing that there's this sort of sweeping vista, so I could find him. Gosh, look at that mountain, though. Yes, if this were a box maze, I would probably still be lost. We're walking around the herb gardener's house. It seems almost too big and too nice to have belonged to just a gardener. Doesn't that look inviting? Tea and books by the window. So apparently the head gardener's cottage was just for the head gardener and his family. Although I just remember in one of the plaques at the house, they talked about how the Henrys hired a French gardener, and the bothy up here is where the under gardeners would all live and work. So the fancy French gardener would get to be up there on the hill, and the under gardeners in here. I think this part of the garden is where a giant greenhouse once stood. Although they still have some greenhouses now. But we saw a photo from, you know, Victorian times of an enormous, it looked like the Crystal Palace greenhouse. Having a walk around Clifton. There's one church, and there's another church at the end of the street. You can see the spire down there. Very colorful buildings. You guys were just in Super Value, their grocery store, admiring all of the different kinds of digestives. They have double chocolate McVitie's. These things are amazing. The nibbles. They just have some Jaffa cakes. They have so many things here that you don't have in the States. Bourbon creams, or bourbon, I'm probably saying that wrong. Cars, McVitie's, of course. So delicious. I love what this Clifton Bookshop says, the room with the books. So my friends, we are walking down an unmarked road along the Skye Road here in Clifton. We're looking for some castle ruins that are not really on the map. They're not like an official tourist attraction. I saw a picture when I was researching this trip of some castle ruins set on a hill with the water in the distance, sheep grazing on the hill. It was beautiful. And I saved it to my computer and used it as a desktop background. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. Months later, I was like, hey, I should have looked up the name of that castle, because then maybe I could visit it. So I tried and Googled and could not find the picture again. Like, I don't know why. I just couldn't find whatever words I had Googled to find that picture. And then, when I was researching things near Clifton, there it was, Clifton Castle. And you have to park just along the road, and then you walk along, don't touch the electric fence. I don't think it's electric, it's just got some bad wires. And you eventually come into view of it Here's some standing stones anyway. The website that I found online telling us how to get to Clifton Castle said we would pass some standing stones. So that is Clifton Bay, and that is Clifton Castle. Wow, so this is a ruined manor house. I have to admit, I think that I saw it from the other side, the picture that I saw, because it was all covered in ivy. It's not as picturesque from this side. It's just a little abandoned looking and creepy. Oh wow, that's a beautiful view though. So this was actually the very end of our trip. We finished up in Clifton, which is in the west of Ireland, and made the long drive across back to the east of Ireland, back to Dublin, where we'd be flying out. We did have a couple hours to explore the city. Guys, we had a long morning of driving. We were parked at the Dundrum Shopping Center. We had to stop and get some Butlers right away. It's been far too long since I've been to a Butlers. Now we're gonna do some shopping and go into Dublin. Strolling on Grafton Street. Well guys, we were hoping to eat at Bewley's Cafe, which is one of the coolest places in Dublin. It's on Grafton Street. It's closed for refurbishment, but luckily Avoca is right up here. This was one of my favorite shops when I lived here, and they have a cool food section downstairs, so we're gonna take a look. Look you guys, these are like books. So fun. And Avoca is like the Irish anthropology, I always feel like. Yum, yum, yum. This street has all the tweed shops. Kevin and Helen, the sweater shop, the Trinity Woolen Mills. Yes, they have so many tweed hats. Porthos is trying to sign. Who wants one? You guys were on Dawson Street, outside Hodges Figgis, which has to be the best name for a bookstore ever, anywhere. I used to come here all the time. I couldn't resist, guys. I had to come out of Hodges Figgis with a green bag. You have to do that in Dublin. We're outside of Carluccio's. They had amazing sandwiches. I used to go there all the time when I studied here. I'm feeling so nostalgic today. There have been signs everywhere for Bloomsday. Bloomsday is June 16th, the day James Joyce's Ulysses takes place all around Dublin. So I think we just missed it. Today is June 18th, so just a few days ago. So we have Butler's hot chocolate. Number 2, the first time I got the dark chocolate, which is in a smaller cup and it's kind of more intense. This time I just got the regular milk chocolate with whipped cream. We're taking it for a walk in St. Stephen's Green. This is the Lime Walk, which I always loved walking down. The leaves look so dappled and like so many different colors of green. Well, you can't really tell there, but it always looks beautiful with the sun coming through. There hasn't been much sun today, but what can you do? We're taking the Lewis back to the car and then to the airport. Guys, I just returned the rental car. Phew! Didn't have any scratches, we didn't crash it, drove on the wrong side of the road, pedestrians, sheep, bikers, you name it, crazy tour buses that almost run you down. But we did it. I am now walking. I no longer have to drive a car in Ireland. You have no idea how happy I am about that. We're staying at the Maldron, which is within walking distance of the airport, so that's pretty great. I just caught the Hertz shuttle back to the terminals and I'm walking to the hotel. Yeah, we actually dropped all the bags off before we went to the terminal, or I dropped the bags off before I dropped the car off. So that was really nice, not to have to worry about checking the car as you're dropping the car off. We checked it and made sure everything was out of it, including package almost left behind of mini toffee crisps. That would have been devastating to lose, obviously. Yes, oh my gosh, it's been an incredible trip though. Thank you guys for coming along. I hope you enjoyed all the videos. Hope you guys have a magical day and a grand day. And I will talk to you again very soon. And who knows where the next adventure will take us. Bye guys. We're having a last butler's breakfast. So nice, big.